The year was 1968. America was ablaze with the fires of change. At the University of Houston, a young woman named Lynn Eusan was making history. She was crowned the university's first black homecoming queen. It was a victory for equality, a symbol of progress. Lynn, radiant and proud, stood as a beacon of hope in a time of turmoil. Her smile, captured in countless photographs, reflected a spirit full of promise. Little did anyone know, a dark shadow lurked just beyond the bright lights of her triumph, a shadow that would soon extinguish her light forever. Lynn Eusan was more than just a homecoming queen. She was a trailblazer, an activist, a voice for the voiceless. Born in 1949, she emerged as a leader in the fight for civil rights, her voice ringing out against the injustices of the time. She co-founded the Afro-Americans for Black Liberation at the University of Houston, demanding equality and justice for her community. Her passion was infectious, her spirit unwavering. Lynn's activism extended beyond the campus walls. She marched on the front lines, her voice joining the chorus of those demanding change. She organized protests, rallied her peers, and challenged the status quo. Her commitment to justice was absolute, her courage unshakable. But on a fateful night in September 1971, Lynn's life was tragically cut short. Lynn Eusan's story began in the heart of Texas, in the bustling city of Houston. Born in 1949, she possessed a spark, an undeniable charisma that drew people to her. Her infectious laughter and radiant smile could light up a room. Growing up in a segregated Houston, Lynn witnessed firsthand the stark realities of racial inequality. These experiences fueled her passion for social justice. Despite the challenges, Lynn excelled in school. Her teachers recognized her potential, and her parents nurtured her dreams. These formative years laid the foundation for the remarkable woman she would become. As Lynn Eusan blossomed into a young woman, she found her voice, not just as a student, but as an advocate for change. The University of Houston, once a bastion of segregation, was undergoing its own transformation during the turbulent 1960s. The civil rights movement was sweeping across the nation, and its echoes resonated strongly within the university's walls. Lynn, swept up in this tide of change, found herself drawn to the burgeoning student activism movement. She joined the Afro-Americans for Black Liberation, a group dedicated to challenging racial discrimination and promoting equality on campus and beyond. Within this group of like-minded individuals, Lynn found her purpose. She discovered the power of collective action, the importance of raising her voice against injustice, and the courage to challenge the status quo. Lynn's passion and natural leadership qualities quickly shone through. She wasn't afraid to speak truth to power, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to demand better for herself and her community. Her words, filled with both righteous anger and unwavering hope, resonated deeply with her peers. She organized protests, rallies, and sit-ins, bringing attention to the inequalities faced by black students on campus. Lynn fought for increased representation in student government, for access to better resources, and for a more inclusive and equitable learning environment. Her efforts, though often met with resistance from the establishment, began to make a difference. Lynn Eusan was not just a voice for change, she was a catalyst for it. Lynn Eusan's legacy at the University of Houston extended far beyond her activism. In 1968, she was elected the university's first black homecoming queen, a watershed moment for racial equality. Her election shattered barriers and challenged deeply held prejudices. Lynn's reign was marked by grace and a commitment to social justice. Her story, though cut short, continues to inspire generations to fight for justice and equality. The air hung heavy with humidity on that fateful September night. The year was 1971, and the city of Houston sweltered beneath a sky thick with unspoken tension. Lynn Eusan, the radiant spirit who had once graced the University of Houston campus as its first black homecoming queen, was unaware that this night, September 10th, would be her last. But tonight, a sinister undercurrent rippled through the air, a premonition of the darkness that awaited her. She hailed a ride, a simple act that would have unimaginable consequences, forever altering the course of her life. Those who knew and loved Lynn would forever replay that night in their minds, haunted by the what-ifs and the unbearable weight of her absence. The yellow glow of the streetlights cast long, distorted shadows. Lynn encountered a man who would forever be entwined with her fate. His name was Leo Jackson Jr., a local longshoreman with piercing eyes. The air crackled with unspoken tension as their paths intersected. Lynn, unaware of the darkness beneath his facade, fate had other plans, weaving a sinister web. The rumble of Jackson's car engine shattered the silence. Lynn couldn't have known she was stepping into a nightmare. The car sped away into the night, carrying a haunting secret. The details of what transpired in those agonizing hours after Lynn's encounter with Leo Jackson Jr. remain shrouded in mystery, lost to the whispers of the wind and the shadows that danced in the darkness. Lynn's life was brutally cut short, her vibrant spirit extinguished in a senseless act of violence that sent shockwaves through the community. The car, once a symbol of normalcy, transformed into a mobile tomb, carrying the weight of Lynn's lifeless body. The desolate stretch of road where her body was discovered became a crime scene, a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly ordinary nights. The discovery of Lynn's body sent a collective gasp of horror through the city, shattering the illusion of safety. News of Lynn Eusan's murder spread like wildfire through the streets of Houston, leaving a city reeling in shock and disbelief. The young queen, who had once been a beacon of hope and progress, was now a tragic headline, her life tragically cut short by an act of senseless violence. The city, still grappling with the scars of racial tension and the tumultuous events of the civil rights era, found itself on edge, the fragile peace shattered by the brutal slaying of one of its own. Fear seeped into the very fabric of the community, casting a long shadow over the city's conscience. Parents clutched their children a little tighter, their hearts heavy with the knowledge that even in the supposed safety of their homes, darkness could lurk just beyond the doorstep. The University of Houston campus, once a place of vibrant energy and youthful optimism, was draped in a somber shroud of grief and fear. Students, once filled with dreams of a brighter future, now walked with a newfound sense of vulnerability, their innocence shattered by the realization that even in the hallowed halls of academia, evil could lurk. The weight of Lynn's unsolved murder pressed down on the city, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the ever-present threat of violence. The police, under immense pressure to bring the perpetrator to justice, launched a full-scale investigation, determined to untangle the web of secrets and lies surrounding Lynn's final hours. Every lead was pursued, every witness questioned, every piece of evidence meticulously examined in the hopes of finding the missing link that would lead them to Lynn's killer and bring some semblance of closure to a grieving city. The investigation into Lynn Eusan's murder quickly zeroed in on the last person known to have seen her alive, Leo Jackson Jr., the man who had offered her a ride home on that fateful night. Jackson, a local longshoreman, became the prime suspect in the case, his life and background subjected to intense scrutiny as investigators sought to uncover any connection he may have had to Lynn's murder. His claims of innocence rang hollow in the ears of a skeptical public, fueled by rumors and innuendo that painted him as a dangerous and unstable individual. Jackson's story, riddled with inconsistencies and contradictions, did little to quell the growing suspicion surrounding him. He claimed that Lynn had attacked him in the car, that a struggle had ensued, and that she had somehow stabbed herself in the process. His version of events, however, strained credulity, raising more questions than answers. The brutality of Lynn's injuries, multiple stab wounds inflicted with a ferocity that pointed to a crime of passion, seemed at odds with Jackson's claims of self-defense. Adding to the suspicion was Jackson's history of violence, a past marred by allegations of aggression and instability. Whispers of his volatile temper and his tendency to lash out spread through the community, painting a picture of a man capable of the brutal act that had claimed Lynn's life. As the investigation progressed, the weight of circumstantial evidence against Jackson grew heavier, casting a long shadow of doubt over his claims of innocence. The city, desperate for answers, watched and waited as the case against Leo Jackson Jr. slowly began to take shape, their hopes for justice hanging in the balance. The fight for Lynn Eusan's legacy transcended the courtroom walls, spilling out onto the streets of Houston and resonating far beyond the city limits. Decades have passed since that fateful night in September 1971, yet the questions surrounding Lynn Eusan's murder linger, their edges blunted, but their essence unchanged. For Lynn Eusan's family, the pain of her loss was a wound that time could never fully heal. The impact of Lynn Eusan's murder extended far beyond the walls of her family home, sending shockwaves through the University of Houston community and the wider city. Lynn Eusan's story, a tragic tapestry woven with threads of triumph and tragedy, continues to resonate deeply within the hallowed halls of the University of Houston and far beyond. While time may have dulled the sharp edges of grief, the passage of years has done little to diminish the burning desire for justice that still flickers in the hearts of those who loved Lynn Eusan. More than just a tragic tale of a life cut short, Lynn Eusan's story serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities of race, justice, and equality in America, issues that continue to plague society even today. Her murder, occurring at a time of great social upheaval and racial tension, exposed the deep-seated biases and systemic inequalities that permeated society, highlighting the vulnerability of Black women and the often uneven scales of justice. The fact that her killer was never brought to justice, the lingering questions surrounding the case, and the perceived lack of urgency in the initial investigation fueled a sense of outrage and mistrust within the Black community, amplifying the already deep-seated wounds of discrimination and injustice. Lynn's story became a rallying cry for change, a catalyst for conversations about race, privilege, and the need for systemic reform within the criminal justice system. Her legacy, however, extends far beyond the tragic circumstances of her death. It serves as a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the transformative power of education, and the importance of using one's voice to advocate for a more just and equitable world. Lynn's story reminds us that the pursuit of equality is an ongoing journey, a relay race where each generation must pick up the baton and continue the fight for a better tomorrow. If you found Lynn's story inspiring, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that matter.